April 1984, a man named Winston Smith returns home to his house in Victory Mansions. As he walks up the stairs, as the lift doesn't work, he's greeted by a huge face with the slogan, Big Brother is watching you. Winston is an insignificant official in the party, the totalitarian government that rules Airstrip 1, which is past England, part of a larger state called Oceania. In his apartment, there's a telescreen that constantly spots government propaganda, with the current report on pig iron. Winston looks to his window and he sees the Ministry of Truth where he works in, or Mini True in Newspeak, where he forges historical records to match the party's official version. The government consists of four parties, in Winston's knowledge, including the Ministry of Truth. There is the Ministry of Love, which wages wars, the Ministry of Plenty, which causes economic shortages, the Ministry of Peace, which is the center of the party and the center of the party's nefarious acts, and the Ministry of Truth, which forges documents in the media.
Chapter 2 Mrs. Parson knocks on Winston's door and asks him to help her unclog her sink because her husband is not home. Winston obliges her, but in Mrs. Parson's apartment, Winston is tormented by her children, who, being junior spies, accuse him of thought crime. Mrs. Parson herself appears afraid of her children, considering the party trains and encourages children to monitor their parents for symptoms of unorthodoxy. Back in his apartment, Winston remembers a dream in which a man's voice, whom he thinks is O'Brien's, says to him, "We shall meet in the place where there is no darkness." Winston then writes in his diary and realizes that his audience is in the future, for a time when freedom of thought is allowed, when there is such a thing as reality, and when, perhaps, history can't be altered to serve political purposes. He also realizes the inevitability of his death at the hands of the thought police due to him keeping a diary.
Chapter 3 Winston dreams of his mother and his younger sister on a sinking ship, and he feels a strange responsibility to his mother's disappearance in a political purge 20 years ago. He dreams of a place called the Golden Country, where a dark-haired girl strips naked and runs towards him in an act of freedom that annihilates the whole party. A shrill whistle awakens him from his dream, and he performs a morning exercise called physical jerks. As he exercises, Winston goes back to his childhood which he faintly remembers. Having no physical record, he feels that it makes his memory and his life a big blur. He thinks back to the official records of the Oceania, has always been at war with Eurasia, but is allied with East Asia. But then he realizes the records were forged. Winston also remembers that no one has seen Big Brother after 1960, although some rumors claim otherwise. As he ponders, a voice from the telescreen snaps at him, ordering him to work harder at the exercises.
This chapter is mostly about Winston's job and the record department in the Ministry of Truth, the place in which he works. Winston's job consists of faking the truth. He alters print sources to ensure that they are in agreement with the party's version of past and present events. Sometimes this includes erasing references to certain persons once the party has vaporized them. The example in the book being Comrade Withers, who has become an unperson. Other times, Winston's job entitles that he cross-references made-up events in other sources to make the end product appear more believable. He wonders and concludes that the party's version of the past might not be true, and that once the act of forgery is forgotten, anything forged might seem as authentic as reality.
Chapter 5 Winston has lunch with a man named Syme, who works on creating a revised dictionary based on Newspeak. Syme elaborates that Newspeak aims to narrow the range of thoughts of an individual. He elaborates that if a language does not possess any characteristic that breeds independence and rebellion, no one could conceive a thought which caused Winston to believe that Syme will be vaporized one day for his intelligence. A man named Parsons arrives and apologizes to Winston for his child's behavior yesterday, but remains proud of his child's patriotic spirit. All of a sudden, a loudspeaker announces an increase in the ration of chocolate, but Winston believes that it was a reduction from the day before, but the people around him happily accept the news. Winston fears he was being watched, and he spots a dark-haired girl again staring at him, fearing that she may be a spy.
Chapter 6 Winston confesses in his diary about a visit to an aging prostitute. In his diary, he writes that the pearl prostitute was old and ugly, but that he went through the act of sex anyway. Winston recalls his wife Catherine, who has been out of his life for nearly 11 years. Winston hates on the unthinking, brainwashed followers of the party, such as Catherine, as he continues to reminisce about sex with her, which she saw only as a duty to the party to make baby comrades. They separated when they realized that they would never have children. Winston just wants someone to love, and in doing so, to break away from the chastity that is so deeply ingrained in party loyalty. The sexual act, when performed for any other reason other than producing offspring or more party members is rebellion against the party.